Howdy, and welcome to the Lost Rider podcast. It's an honor and privilege to address you in the capacity of an interviewer, reporter, and media member. Too many modern media outlets have forgone the integrity and responsibility required of credible information sources. What you will receive here are straightforward discussions with legislators, agency leaders, biologists, engineers, doctors, and countless other experts that have the answers to questions often circulated as kitchen table issues. The title Lost Rider may be thought of literally as well as in the metaphorical sense. While there has been the instance that I was momentarily a little turned around at night in a wilderness area, the idea of being a lost rider in life, well, that fits most folks at some time. These renderings are coming to you in the form of the 25-year-old radio program, The News from the Camp House. It still airs every Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m. Central Time on KULM 98.3 FM out of Columbus, Texas. The original intent was to relate outdoor topics to the general public. Immediately, it was found that all issues are relatable to the outdoors and that people are people. They all play a role and they all have a vested interest. It's this program's desire to answer common questions about how the world works, how it will operate in the future, and what's the holdup? So please listen, enjoy, and never hesitate to contact us with more questions and feedback. Good morning. Welcome everyone to this weekend's edition of News from the Camp House, listening post of the Texas Sportsman Association. This is Herman, Brune. This weekend's edition is also brought to us by Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club folks who don't have a country club, and now you can also find our weekly radio programs on the LostRiderPodcast.com. So we've gotten into the social media game along with everybody else, so that if you don't feel like getting up at 6:30 on Saturday morning, but you'd like to find a little bit about what's going on, here's some common sense, and just know something about common sense and conservation and what's going on in Texas as well as across the United States. You can get it here. You can go to LostRiderPodcast.com. You can find out almost anything. So, I'll tell you what, this morning, I know last week I did commentary. I have been off my game a little bit. Won't apologize to everybody else. Everybody out there, all of my listeners, I've been a little off my game. I had a knee replacement, and it's kind of slowed me down a little bit. It's the damnedest thing. I can get up and do a little bit, and within about an hour's time, I feel like I've done a day's work, and I have to go lay down. I'm doing everything I can to get the swelling down. I am 2 weeks off of this operation, and I'm getting around on a cane, and I'm kind of getting around fairly decently, I think, and a lot of the swelling's down, but I'm not satisfied. It's gonna take me a little while till I get back up to speed, and in the meantime, I have neither the patience nor the attitude to be talking to a lot of people, as far as calling them up, doing interviews, doing all that kind of stuff. But it does give me just a little bit of time to lay around and think and try to fill in some of the blanks on some of the stuff that's been going on. And if you're a regular listener and you know that we've been covering a lot of water issues, we've been talking about seawater desalination, we've been talking about desalinating brackish aquifers and everything that's entailed with that. We've talked to the South Texas Water Authority, we've talked to the Nueces River Authority multiple times, we've talked to the Port of Corpus Christi Authority, all these different entities that are involved with this. And then I see there's other issues around the state as far as water is concerned. And let's address this stuff with just a little bit of foresight and a little bit of knowing how some of this stuff generally turns out. For one thing, we have to look at these things and say, well, okay, follow the money. All right? Always follow the money. And municipalities take precedence over agriculture. They take precedence over wildlife. They take precedence over, a lot of things, certainly the environment. You look at how, and you've got all these agencies out there that are struggling to, even level the playing field, constantly. They're trying to level the playing field so that, the more concrete we pour, the more stuff that gets built, that is going to in some way impact the environment. They're constantly trying to come up with regulations and different ways to keep it from hurting. Let's say this. Let's just make it a point that everyone understands. One, municipalities take precedence over pretty much everything. The other thing is that these are just regular rules that if you go to Austin, you start preaching conservation, you will have everyone's ear. Everybody's going to look at you. They're going to listen to a certain extent. And then they're going to sit there and they're going, well, municipalities are going to take precedence. And let me point out that when it comes to water, all right, the instance that I was taught ages ago when I went back, took a bunch of journalism classes, did all the stuff. The hetchy is what we were pointed out to us. Back in the days in the 1800s when San Francisco kept burning down, and it wasn't even, I don't know if it was 1800s, early 1900s, and it was the big battle between John Muir and Teddy Roosevelt, and those two guys were supposedly somewhat buddies in the conservation field. But then when it came to the Hetchy Valley, it was proposed that this valley would be dammed and it would provide water to San Francisco forevermore. And at the time, San Francisco had a bad habit of burning down. And so Roosevelt and his administration decided, this is what we have to do. Once again, municipalities took precedence. All right, John Muir's people said, no, this is a high alpine valley. You can't do this. This is at the turn of the century, between 18 and 1900s. And they went, no, you can't do this. They went, well, we have to do it for this city. And they did it. And that's the way it always is. That's the way it always is. And for my immediate listeners, all you have to do is go and drive across a river bridge right here, close to my immediate listening area here in Colorado County, Texas. Go drive across a river bridge and look at that river. And you will know that Austin takes precedence. The city of Austin takes precedent over everything from there down to the Gulf Coast. Okay? That is just, all you got to do is drive across the river and look at it, and you will know that this is true. And I would have anybody argue that point otherwise. When Austin needs water, Austin has water. To the extent that the rice business that was dependent on the Colorado River no longer exists. I don't know I can't say I don't know what happened to the layer water rights that were bought by the LCRA, but that was Colorado River water that went to Lake Texana that wound up in Corpus. And Corpus supplies very much of the rest of South Texas. We learned that when we interviewed the South Texas Water Authority, went down to Kingsville, and they said, yeah, we buy water from Corpus. And we know that they're getting water from all the way up on the Colorado River when it's available. So they're getting water from everywhere. All right, so now just do the geography. Think about it. You know, this water travels all over, and where there is a little bit of water, it goes to somewhere else. Okay, so do the geography. Now, one of the instances that we have always talked about here for the last 25 years on this radio has been desal, desalination, whether it's seawater or it's brackish aquifers, or what are we going to do? When we've got millions of people who have moved to this state in the last, 10, 15, 20 years, we're sitting here with a population of 30 million when I can remember when it was 10, when it was less than 10, and when there was water shortages then. And they continue to build, and we find that a lot of these industries, who knew the software industry took so much water? I mean, who would have ever thought of that? But it does. All these industries, all these people that are moving to Texas, they take up an extreme amount of water. And we don't have it. So we have to look at desal. Now, take another factor into this equation. You got municipalities, you got agriculture, you got wildlife, you got the countryside. You also have had a study done since 2003 on freshwater inflow into the Gulf. Okay, Texas Gulf Coast has to have fresh water for both recreational fishing as well as commercial. So the health of the Texas Gulf Coast is imminently impacted by the amount of freshwater inflow. And they've been studying this for more than 20 years. And it's so many people depend on this. Now, let's bring up one other point to put in our basket of factors, into our playing hand, into our card deck, so that we know what kind of hand we're playing here. The other factor is we have the water process technologies today to answer these questions. All right? Forever and ever and ever. The problem with desalination was the energy costs. This is what we were told. It costs too much energy to produce desalinated water because it would be too expensive, because it takes too much energy to do it. What we're being told now is the concern for the discharge. When you desalinate it, and now you've got a supersaturated discharge, what do you do with it? All right, we have all those answers. We know what to do with it. This is not an undefined question. This is something that we have the capabilities to manage that. All right, we're going to get into more of that in just a little bit. Tell you what, let's take a quick break. Thank the folks who let us come on here, and we'll be back soon with our second half.
Thank goodness for all the great sponsors we have here at News from Camp House. HEB Food Stores. That's Stephen Tice at HEB. He helps me. He helps the community. He's a great man. I'm so thankful HEB loosened him up, lets him go around and sponsor a few things. HEB's got all your food needs. It's the greatest food store we got here in Columbus. Thank goodness for HEB. First State Bank, you go over to the First State Bank, they'll take care of all your loans, all your deposits, your savings, anything you need. Bunch of great hometown people over there. You got Celia Tobias, John Pollock, everybody over there is looking out for you. Miss Barbara Barta. It's a great bunch of folks at the First State Bank is also sponsoring news from the camp house. First State Bank takes care of all my business. Baumgart Agency, Susan Baumgart at the Baumgart Agencies, her and Germania. She told me to plug Germania. Germania is an insurance that she likes to everybody to know about. The Baumgart Agencies. Miss Susan and I are classmates, been classmates. She got me out of high school, sat right beside her, put us in alphabetical order where I could copy. And Susan Baumgart over at the Baumgart Agency taking care of all your insurance needs. Lyco Realty, one of the original sponsors of News from the Camp House. Lyco Realty, the oldest real estate company in the county, and for the last 3 years voted the favorite realtor in the county. Lyco Realty, that's Miss Kimberly Johnson, that's Crockett's granddaughter. More kinfolks and classmates and great people from Colorado County. People from Colorado County helping people from Colorado County. That's great. Oh, thank goodness for all these wonderful people come to me want to be sponsors for News from the Camp House.
Good morning and welcome to the second half of this week's News from the Camp House. You've got me all by yourself this morning. I'm trying to fill in some cracks. I'm not telling you anything I haven't told you in the past. I'm just going over it. It's like I told everybody. You can also get this at the LostRiderPodcast.com. You can listen to it anytime you want. And I was going over a little geography this morning. It is just beyond my comprehension. It's beyond my understanding why certain people don't realize this. Oh, I understand that. I have studied it, to the nth degree over how many years, and it's so simple. This is no great. You ain't got to be smart to know this. But we have the water process technologies. We've got everything we need to work on our water problems in Texas. I ain't saying we've got everything we need to solve them, but we do have, and I think maybe we do, but we certainly have enough cards in our hand right now to go to work solving a bunch of these problems. And you have people that are doing it, and they're getting some pushback, and I don't completely understand why, when there should be more people lining up behind them, especially your conservationists, most especially your would-be loud talking about conservationists. Right now, I wouldn't give 2 cents for someone who claims to be a conservationist and doesn't have the information that I've been putting on this radio for the last for the last 25 years, but especially in the last couple of months, when we're talking about seawater desalination and brackish aquifer desalination. Because here's the deal. If you look at the Colorado River right now, if Austin and San Antonio and these major municipalities were supplied with a fresh water source that would take the pressure off of the Colorado River, you would not have to have, our river would be healthy. We would have a whole lot better river. I do not understand how our river can look the way it does, and we could sit around and say that we're satisfying the freshwater inflow that is required at the Texas Gulf Coast. And or, what does the Gulf Coast aquifer look like? What do the other aquifers look like? All right. So let's look at that. Let's just say if you put enough fresh water in Corpus, in San Antonio, in South Texas, all the way around to Austin, take the pressure off the Edwards Aquifer, take the pressure off the Colorado River, take the pressure off of some of these highly valued groundwater and surface water resources, then everybody would have the water we need to further satisfy what gets to the Gulf Coast, to satisfy what our river looks like here, in Colorado County and all the way down to the coast. I mean, the Colorado River running through Columbus is horrific. It's horrible. I don't know why there's not a band of people, with torches and pitchforks going to Austin screaming about the way our river looks. And to think, here's the deal. They want to have a seawater desal plant. They have the technology to manage the discharge. It's deep water discharge. This is nothing new. I've told everybody for ages. We've been doing this in Texas since the 1980s when they drilled out the strategic oil reserves. This has been done. So this is nothing new. A seawater desal plant with deep water intake and deep water discharge, this is nothing new. They're going to sell it to you like it's a new idea. There's nothing new about it. All right, your brackish aquifer discharge. The one down at Brownsville was sold with the idea that the discharge would reclaim 1,000 acres or more of wetlands. I've heard no more about it. When you talk about it to the South Texas Water Authority, they all look at you with these big blank eyes and like they've never heard of what you're talking about. But that is the way it was sold. What happens is people are scared. If someone uses the fear factor of pollution, and they forget to tell these folks that this water will be treated, this discharge will be treated before it's put back in the system. Agencies in Austin are already planning on pumping out frack water, treating it, and putting it back in the system. They know this can be done. And for the general public not to know this and to know it can be done safely is just a disservice. It's a disservice, and I'm not sure what media source to go to other than I'd say, it's outdoor media. Outdoor media is supposed to be reporting this. And if I'm the only one out here beating the drum, that's just wrong. CCA should be doing this. Every conservation group out here ought to be high behind this, going, we know how to do it. We got the technology to do it. Let's get it. Let's get everybody set up to where, we're healthy, where the state of Texas is healthy and has a tremendous water supply, and we're all doing good, and the Gulf Coast is doing good, and it can be done. It can be done. Nuclear. You hear about people being scared of nuclear. There's no reason to any longer be afraid of nuclear. All those pictures of the nuclear power plants, that is old hat. It's people trying to scare you. There is no sense in that. There's no reason we cannot use nuclear power for desalination. Cheaper, easier, put it right at the source. Don't have to tap the electric grid. Don't have to use natural gas. Your microreactors are the answer to the future as we see it right now. You put your energy source where you need it. You don't need thousands of miles of transmission lines. This stuff is really kind of on the cutting edge right here in front of us, right in our lap. And it's a disservice that the media doesn't cover this responsibly. And that's a big word to drop on them, is responsibly, because I don't know who can responsibly cover this except people who who talk to the experts and who cover this extensively for years. You cannot give this to some cub reporter and tell them to do a little bit of research and then drop them on it and tell them to go get it. No, this has to be someone reporting this stuff, in my opinion, that has watched this come to fruition over the past 25, 30, 40 years. That is my strong opinion of it. The honest truth of it is that everybody should have this. Everybody should know it. It's not that hard. If you know a little bit about geography, you know water runs downhill. It's just not that hard. Follow the money. Look at the technology that we have. Look at all the things that are going on today. There's no reason that people don't know these answers, because we do have the answers. We have a lot of the answers. I don't know that we have all the answers, but we've certainly got enough of the answers to address the problem and to start managing it and to continue on into the future without fear of compromising natural resources, without compromising the integrity of fresh water getting to the Gulf Coast. So, I've been preaching about this for several months, talking to the experts, talking to all these people. They all know it. They are somewhat a little bit guarded when they're on the radio or when they're on a podcast, but they all know it. They all know it. They all know the technology is here. It's just a matter of getting that word out, and it's a matter of getting the word out responsibly. It's also a matter of managing the technology responsibly. We all know that one little screw up and everybody will be ready to hang somebody again if all they got to do is screw up. But there's already enough screw ups out there. Let's see if we can't get something right this time. And I think we're on the verge of getting it right. We just need to get everybody on the same page. That's what we're doing here this morning. We're trying to help everybody get a little closer to being on the same page. All right, guys, we're out of time this morning. I'll see if my old knee don't let up on me a little bit, so my sense of humor is better. I can go back to interviewing, talking to other people, and we'll find out more. There's a lot of other things we'll be covering too. So I appreciate everybody for listening. Now, this weekend's edition has also been brought to us by Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club folks who don't have a country club. Now, go out, have a good weekend, have a lot of fun, be safe, have fun, and y'all just remember pretty much any day is sure a good day to be out in the woods.